Hello, my name is THIERRY. I am from group 9 and I will introduce my group member. Firstly is TIANG, EZEKHEL, GLYNESSA, DIANNE, and lastly is VELONIA, ABYGAIL. Our reading title is The Determinants of Ethnic Inequality in Peninsular Malaysia by Charles Hirschman. Before I start, let me introduce you what is the definition of social class. Social class is a large group of people who occupy a similar position in economic system. There are several different dimensions of social class including income, wealth, power, occupation, education, race, and ethnicity. Secondly is the definition of ethnicity. Ethnicity refers to the cultural practices and outlook of a given communication of people that set them apart from each other. Members of ethnic group see themselves as cultural distinct from other groups in society of terms such as food, language, religion, and clothes.
Hello everyone, my name is EZEKHEL. With this opportunity, I will discuss about the plural society of Peninsular Malaysia. What has been presented in this article is about the ethnic diversity that makes up a plural society in Malaysia. As is well known, Malaysia has various types of society consisting of various races and religions. Peninsular Malaysia mainly consists of Malay, Chinese, and Indian communities. Any divisions in society also co-driven by cultural, religious, linguistic, and social differences. Continuing from the recent discussion, more than half of the population of 53.2% have identified themselves as Malay, while 35.4% as Chinese, followed by 10.6% who are Indians according to the 1970 census. The involvement of the British colonialists from economic and political aspects, tin mining, and the production of natural rubber are major economic activities, where a lot of labor is required to work on the farm. In addition, the migration of foreign workers from their place of origin can also to some extent help in the eradication of labor poverty in country of origin. Most of the foreign workers have become permanent residents of the country. By 1957, racial, religious, and cultural differences were increasingly evident among the plural society in Peninsular Malaysia. Referring to the social structure of the plural society in Peninsular Malaysia, it shows inequality where the Chinese are more involved in non-agricultural field and have a high standard of education. This proves that the income of the Chinese is higher than that Indian and Malays. The Indians are closer to the Chinese from socio-economic aspect compared to the Malays, who are heavily involved in agricultural activities in rural areas. This shows that Chinese and Indians are more in the city than Malays. As for the education system, it has undergone major changes until now. However, it remains based on the British model pattern, namely 6 years of primary school, 5 years of secondary school, and 2 years of university preparatory classes accompanied by national examination, which is an indicator of one's educational level. Apart from that, there are also vernacular schools that are specific to one ethnic group that often make English the medium of instruction. Chinese and Indians are more likely to receive English language education, where is it much needed in the government sector. Malays are most inclined in agriculture.
Hello everyone, my name is VELONIA ABYGAIL and I'm going to talk about the socio-economic life cycle model based on this article. As what we can see here, the socio-economic life cycle model has 3 stages, which is origin status, educational attainment, and socio-economic attainment. These stages of socio-economic life cycle are the most basic and simple model. According to the author, origin status is the position in the socio-economic hierarchy and it is considered as an important influence upon on education. Although deceptively basic, this model can be used to investigate several significant substantive questions in stratification research. This model also can be used to study the differential of achievement for population subgroups. This type of analysis addresses a major theoretical question about the role of ethnicity in social inequality. For example, in this article, the author questioned, is the Malay disadvantage one that merely affects poorer Malays, and is thus all people of poor origins, regardless of ethnicity, or is there a specific disadvantage that all Malays share? If the answer to this question is a yes, then there is an effect due to the ethnicity of the controlling for other social background factors that will result to the inheritance of poverty. Inheritance of poverty will affect population structures of one society and generation. Inheritance poverty often happens to the generation where the adolescents have lower income and lower educational status. The probability of the children to inherit the poverty are a very high risk. The two explanations for the statement that say ethnicity has a net effect on achievement are cultural discrimination and discrimination explanation. Cultural discrimination theory explains that certain ethnic groups value thrift, hard labor, and deferred pleasure, which provides them an advantage over other civilizations that likes to take things easy. Meanwhile, discrimination can take place in a range of settings, including school, the job market, and economic organization. Discrimination may be easier to perpetrate in certain job sectors when formal qualifications are not necessary. Next, we are going to move to the next point, which is the case of education by GLYNESSA DIANNE. Thank you.
Thank you, Velonia, for your presentation, and now I'm going to talk about the case of education, which is based on the two main factors, that is the years of schooling and the English medium education. In the article, the author analyzed the impact of ethnic membership and social background upon educational attainment that was stated in the cases. The factors that play roles in the studies are ethnicity, father's occupation, and birthplace. The factors of birthplace are divided into three parts, which are rural, small town, and town or city. This is because, according to Charles, each independent variable is coded into a set of categories rather than single variable. In the factors of years of schooling, the author stated that the Malay has less years of schooling than Chinese based on the ethnicity in Malaysia education. However, based on the father's occupation, there is a gap of 1.5 years of schooling between Malay and Chinese men due to the fact that Chinese and Malay have different distribution of factors. Apart from that, based on the place of birth, there is a gap of 80% between Malay and Chinese on the differential social origins, or what might be called the handicap of rural agrarian background for the Malay. Next, in the factor of attending English medium schools, Charles mentioned that Indians are more likely to attend English medium school than Chinese and Malay. However, after introducing father's occupation and birthplace, only then the Malay realized that English medium education has more advantages. Meanwhile, the Chinese was almost 6% negative, while Indian remains 9% above the average of the whole population. Therefore, the final result of this study shows that Malay students have the biggest challenges in the educational process due to their ethnicity and birthplace. This is because the majority of them were born in rural areas where there are no schools and they do not have the same level of education as non-Malays. Thus, it seems that Indians are more motivated to attend English medium school because of the accessibility to them. That is all from me. Now I'll pass it to Tiang Yuan. Thank you.
Thank you, GLYNESSA, for her presentation. Hi, my name is Tiang Yuan, and today I'm going to talk about the case of occupational attainment in this article. So in this article, the author had analyzed the effects of ethnicity and social background upon occupational attainment separately for 8 occupations. And these 8 occupations are later separated into 2 groups. The first group that the author included was the professional clerical service, transport and communication. And the author concluded that the handicap for the Malays to get into this occupation is due to their rural agrarian background. And as for the second group, it consists of sales, craft and production process, and also laborer. The author mentioned that although the disadvantages of the Malays had decreased after controlling the social background, but it is still remains sizable. The author later questioned, why do Malays not seem to be able to enter these occupations as frequent as others, even if they had the equivalent patterns of urban residence, education, and other social background characteristics? The author later provided two explanations for his question. First, all these occupations are largely concentrated with small shop sectors. Such small shops will usually only employ very few paid workers. Sometimes, only a single family is involved. Hence, the employer will usually wish to hire members from only one ethnic group due to its familiarity or language reasons. This might not be the individual's connotation of discrimination, or it is also known as the selective social process, which operates to inhibit the dispersion of all ethnic groups throughout the occupational structure. Second, he also suggested that Malays are less likely to apply for jobs in the small shop sectors because they do not like to work in surroundings where language and cultural practices are unfamiliar. But all in all, it is almost likely just a part of the complex overall process of selection into various occupational and industrial sectors. So, in my opinion, I agree that small shop sectors will usually accept employees from the same ethnic group. For example, during my previous part-time job in a small company, my employer tends to hire Chinese employees, specifically those who know Fuzhou dialects, due to familiarity and in order to have a better communication. That is all from me. Thank you very much for your attention, and now I will pass it to Terry.
In the conclusion, this study of comparative race and ethnic relation has been hindered by a lack of common reference point. The focus has been on assimilation, in other on interracial conflict, and in other on degree of power held by one group over another. Malaysia have early pot contains communities of various Asian nationalities because of the immigrant. So this caused unequally happening in Malaysia. As with most other plural societies, the ethnic communities in Peninsular Malaysia are not evenly throughout the social structure. That's all. Thank you.